note that some of these rates actually were amended last year, mostly the one for financial services. We returned it from 20% to 15%, and now again we are taking it back to 20%. The current 15% excise duty supports the growth in the digital economy by keeping communication and internet to 20% would be detrimental to the industry. That's clause number 25. Lastly, clause number 26. This is with respect to financial services, money transfer services. Chair, and I will borrow from my colleague Robert. You can imagine we are also introducing VAT on financial services. I remember when excise tax was being introduced on financial services, based on the conversations we had, it was on the fact that financial services are exempt. We need to collect some revenue. When you read the National Tax Policy and the MTRS, excise tax is supposed to focus on goods that have negative externalities. Yes, there's an aspect of revenue collection, but negative externalities are the critical aspect of excise duty. Financial services in all senses do not have any negative externalities. Yeah? And on that basis, an increase to 20% will really, really be punitive. If it's for a revenue purpose collection, let us maintain it at 15%. Let us not increase it to 20%. Those are our submissions on excise duty.
Thank you, thank you. Now we give it to our senior FCPA Kwaka to take us through Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act.
Chair, just let me finish on the eco-levy, and then he can take it up from there. So on the eco-levy, Chair, we note that the bill introduces eco-levy. The goods have been provided for under the Act, under the bill, and the rates are provided therein as well. And our proposal with respect to this is a deletion of eco-levy at this point in time, for the following reasons. That the eco-levy as currently proposed, it poses a significant threat in several sectors. Punitive levies on the goods, and secondly, there is lack of certainty in the form of a coherent framework for determining which goods actually have an impact on the environment. We are also not so sure how those rates that were included there were reached at. This is our proposal, Chair, for eco-levy. As provided by the Statutory Instruments Act and also under NEMA, an impact assessment needs to be carried out when a law is being introduced, charging a levy on some specific items. We would want to support this impact assessment to determine really what is the impact of these goods that have been listed in this list to the environment, so that we can be able to determine what is the appropriate rate of levy that should be applied on the goods. The is, and I gave you examples with the plastics. The plastic one is really, really high. And therefore, without a proper impact assessment, it may be very difficult to first determine which goods should appear on that list and what rate should appear on that list. In addition to that, we currently have the Sustainable Management Waste Act. The Act provides for a polluter pay principle. So you're being told if you pollute the environment, pay this. Now, over and above that payment, there is an additional eco-levy. So you're having a product being hit from all sides: excise, VAT, polluter pay, eco-levy. On that note, we are asking, Chair, that a proper evaluation be done. We saw this being done in Canada before the introduction of the federal carbon tax. It was also introduced in the UK before the introduction of the plastic tax. To provide context on the UK, the provision states that you will only pay the tax if you cannot recycle that plastic. So what does that do? It really encourages spares with modalities to manufacture recyclable plastics, because that's what we want from an environmental perspective. So our proposal is we hold the implementation of eco-levy at this point in time. We engage on an impact assessment that will guide us as to the product and to the appropriate rate to charge for this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. CPA Kahama, let's have FCPA Kwaka.
Thank you, Chair. At clause 28. And clause 28, we have a very straightforward proposal, Chair, that we need to encourage people to use ATMs. The current finance bill, the way it has dealt with that particular section, is going to discourage the use of ATMs. And as an institute, we feel very strongly that ATMs use should be encouraged, and we therefore pose the deletion of the word has not been declared to be replaced with the words has issued a tax invoice. That will help the exchequer, it will help the country, so that we don't lose out just because of wordings. 29, Chair, is regarding the the TPA Act, withholding tax, a requirement that withholding tax be remitted within 5 days.
FCP,
yes,
could
sir.
you please come up again on section 17.2?
Yeah.
And how that proposal will discourage use of items?
Right.
Try to explain a little more.
Okay. The issue of concern under that, let me claim of input tax. The registered supplier has not declared.
And you're saying it is VAT section 17.2b.
17.2b. I hope we didn't have a typo there, Chair.
But what is the section?
Will just allow us to double check, Chair.
Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
So it is, okay, fine. So on the bill is clause 31, B, B what? B flat. This is the addition of subsection 7.
Chair, just to clarify, if I may. Yes. So this proposal is not in the finance bill, but is in the finance act. Is in the VAT Act. And what we are saying is that provision of the VAT Act ought to be amended to reflect that we have now transitioned to e-teams, and therefore I do not need to be holding an invoice, because Christine here will have already issued me a Teams invoice which carry already has.
That's fine. So it's a proposal.
All right.
Okay. Now we'll for next
apology.
FCPA.
Thank you. Thank you,
I think
Chair.
we should have just, for the sake of the others, if it's a new proposal, just tell us the new one so that you don't struggle to find it on the bill. Proceed.
Agreed, Chair. The next item is our number 29 regarding withholding tax and a requirement to remit withholding tax within 5 days. And our proposal is that that should be changed to be remitted by the 20th of the following month, as we have in other cases. And Chair, it is because this provision of 5 days, we have talked about it before, is very easy to avoid and very easy to evade by just simply bulking payments and paying them on the day you like. So if it is 5 days later, you can just bulk them and wait until you feel like paying it. But if legislation is specific, by the 20th of the following month, it will be much more efficient from a revenue point of view, Chair, and it will be good for our country, and of course also for the payer in terms of managing cash flow. Item number 30 on our list concerns the TPA Act again. The current proposal in the finance bill is that within 90 days, if a document or some information has not been provided, the commissioner will have the right to completely throw away the entire objection. And that cannot be correct, Chair, because in an objection decision, I might have 5 or even 10 items. And if I've provided information for 9 items and only 1 is missing, why would anybody throw out the entire thing just because of 1? And we propose, Chair, that we reward that to say to the extent of the information not provided. And then for the rest of the provision, Chair, we propose that we retain what is currently in the Act because it is much safer and of course it is also easier to deal with. The wording in the finance bill has used words like deemed. And Chair, the word deemed can mean many things. Deemed can mean an assumption, maybe, perhaps. It can mean also anything else. And of course it is perhaps not too difficult to challenge in court. Why don't we just lock the law in a way that is easy for us to manage as a nation? Now, when we talk about the retaining the current provision of 60 days, Chair, we are saying that the 60 days will in many ways open the way such that if a taxpayer has an issue, he can always appeal. He can always appeal to the next level. Then, Chair, I go to...
Sorry to interrupt, but
yes, sir.
The understanding of this was, so if you lodge an objection,
yeah.
So the onus is on you to provide documentation to why you are lodging that objection. Then you take your sweet time, take the 30 days, 60 days, and then you do not come back to the authority with the information. So what is the authority supposed to do at that particular time? So how then would you think that we should address this better? So say, if within 60 days you have been given a chance to bring documentation, you haven't, then that means you don't have a case. What would be your thinking around that?
Very right, Chair. But I might have given 5 out of 10. So would anybody be right to say that even the 5 which were good is all thrown out? And that's the point we are trying to drive here. And then the use of words like deeming. Deeming has got a lot of weaknesses in terms of meaning.
Hold on, Vice Chairman has an addition to that.
You know, Senior, you are talking on behalf of very good taxpayers. But remember also we have very bad taxpayers. And that is what the law is made to cure. Because I know I have a liability. I lodge whatever it is, and then I use the documents to delay the process. Imagine you have been given 30 days, 60 days, you are not lodging the document, 90 days. I think let us have a middle ground where we must also help the commissioner to tame the bad taxpayers. I know, Senior, as I said, you are talking on behalf of very good taxpayers, and there are very many, but you also have a few bad elements out there.
Very true. In fact, Honorable Member, we are actually saying the same thing. Absolutely the same thing. It's for the good of the country, but I will also ask my colleague, CPA Kahema, to add.
Yeah, Chair, maybe just to provide clarity on this section, the section proposes to delete a very critical section of the Tax Procedures Act. So currently what will happen is that you object, you put in your objection, and the commissioner is supposed to give you feedback on the validity of the objection. He gives you a specific timeline to provide that document. If you do not provide the document, he will issue you with an objection decision in 60 days. That's the process. So there's a system that is already in place to ensure that if the commissioner feels the documents are not well provided, he has 60 days to provide you with an objection decision. Now, it is with an objection decision that can appeal to the tribunal. So what the proposal has done, it has deleted that clause. What it means is that if you do not provide the requisite information, your objection is invalidated. If your objection is invalidated, you as a taxpayer cannot appeal, because you can only appeal to the tribunal if you have an objection decision. So what we are requesting is that the proposal be deleted or amended to the extent that even if he invalidates, he gives you an objection decision that will help you to appeal to the tribunal and to the High Court, because without a valid objection decision, my right to appeal has come to an end, which I don't think was the intention, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. That brings clarity.
Yes.
Because then it's giving a window for KRA
Yes.
to give you like a blank assessment.
Yes.
Without giving them the obligation to communicate that to you,
Yes.
so that you can use that